Hello YouTubers and fellow hams. Well, this will be an interesting one. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to approach this or what I'm going to title the video yet. Warning, if you buy a Cushcraft A3S, check this. Something like that, I don't know. A local ham named Al bought a Cushcraft A3S beam. Now it's sold as a tri-band beam, 10, 15, and 20 meters. But they do have a 40-meter kit that you can pick up for it, which he did. He got the 40-meter kit for it. And he bought it, let's see. He bought it back last year. I've got my notes here. I interviewed him after all the things we did, and we talked quite a bit about it. But here we go, April 2018. He bought it in April 2018. That was... They were still recovering from the hurricane that came through this area a year ago. And they had a lot of rain. He had months of rain. Just rain. So he didn't get around to putting it together for a while. But in October, he went to put that beam together. Now, he's a technician, and he's working on getting his general. And he was just getting some equipment together, so he'd be ready to go. So he's got a nice, I think it's a Roan tower that he acquired used that's in good shape. And he's got that up, and he had this beam to put on top of it. Well, he put it together in October, and he noticed a problem right away as he got it together. On the director, the little metal clamp that holds it to the boom, and I've got a picture of it that I'll throw up here, was not bent right. It was not straight and not square. And when he got the beam together there on the ground and he looked at it, the director was not 90 degrees to the boom. Instead of being, nice and straight, it was tilted. And from the ends of the director to the driven element, in fact, there was a disparity between the two sides of about 8 to 12 inches, almost a foot, he said. And he flipped it around. He flipped the piece around to make sure he wasn't, seeing things or put it together wrong. And sure enough, it was skewing the other direction. So that was the first problem he had. Now, he got on their site, and he contacted MFJ first, and they directed him to the Cushcraft webpage, which it's owned by MFJ. MFJ bought Cushcraft in late 2009, so they've owned Cushcraft for almost 10 years. And he had to fill out a trouble ticket to get that little metal piece replaced. And they responded pretty quick on that one. He said they replied in 2 days, and the new bracket arrived 3 days later. So he had about a week's time in turnaround from when he found that problem to when he got it resolved, got the new part. But then he also noticed another issue. Again, it was on the director. One of the traps had some play in it. He noticed as he was looking at it that right past the trap, the element was down quite a bit. And he went over, and when he would lift on it, it would move a significant amount. And I actually have that trap here to show you. And I'm going to bring the camera in, and we're going to take a closer look at this, which I'll probably cut to the video right here. But he didn't loosen any of the screws inside this trap. Now, normally there's a metal can that goes over this thing that's mounted to one end to protect the coil. And there's these nylon spacers. There'll be one on either side of the coil and then one at each end of the can. And that's all fine. But as you can see, that wiggles. And why does that wiggle so well? Well, one, I think the insert, the insulating insert in here, whatever it is, nylon I believe, might be just a little bit too small a diameter. But they only have one screw at each end. And those screws make the electrical contact for the trap. And as you can see in a close-up, it's just a tinned piece of the wire wrapped around the screw. There's no lock washer. There's nothing to keep the screw from backing out with motion. And any motion at all, that connection is going to become intermittent. And in fact, in this case, they even wrapped the wire the wrong way around the screw. They've got the wire wrapped counterclockwise. So when you turn the screw in to tighten it clockwise, it'll have a tendency to spread that little eye of wire out, unwind it slightly. You always want to wind a wire clockwise around a screw so that when you're tightening the screw, it has a tendency to pull that eye of wire a little tighter under there, and improve the connection, if anything. So yeah, they've only got one screw on this thing on the one end, and that lets it wiggle around. Even with the screw tight. On this side it's tight, but I can still wiggle that a little bit. And there's no doubt that any motion there, that's going to loosen up, right? So anyway, that's a little concerning. But what happened? Well, he put the new trap on and got the tower up and raised the antenna, got it up there. Everything seemed to be decent, except that it wouldn't tune, or it wouldn't stay at a low SWR. Here's a video clip where we experimented. We used the antenna rotor to kick the beam back and forth a little bit, just to get some shake and vibration on the elements. And as you can see on the MFJ analyzer here, the meters were jumping all around on 10 meters. That same thing would happen on all the other bands too. They would jump. If there was any motion on the elements, they would jump. Well, looking at this trap that we just assembled, we speculated that there's probably more loose screws. And as things are wiggling around up there, this little wire is just intermittently contacting the screw in the aluminum tube. So we decided to bring the entire antenna down and take apart every single trap. And what we did, and I've got more video for you, what we did on the traps was, first off, we discovered that in many cases the screws were loose. They only had one screw on each end. What else? The screw that held the can that goes over the top and protects these, every single one of those, the screw was loose. You could wiggle the can slightly. They had run it down so tight that they'd stripped out the hole slightly, and the screw was barely biting into the metal. So for each trap, we put a star washer under the screw to keep it from backing out, and also to bite into the wire just a little bit. Not enough to damage it, just a tiniest little nick the star washer will make, and that's going to improve the electrical contact. And we made sure that they were tight. Then we also drilled another hole and put a second screw. Now, we did not put it directly opposite of the existing screw, because if we did that, you'd have a hinge point and it would still wiggle in one direction. We offset it about 10 to 15 degrees off of the opposite, and that way it anchors in a not in a different axis, a different direction, and that binds everything up real tight. So we did that on every single tap. Well, not all 14. The 40 meter kit traps, they were built properly in my opinion. If we look at here the video clip of one of those, you'll see that they had pop rivets at two other angles, and then the screw that made the connection to the trap. No washers or lock nuts or anything on those screws yet. They still were just the screw and the tin wire. So we went ahead and put star washers in there to make a little bit better electrical connection. But the 40 meter trap had extra anchor points and was quite stiff. It was nice and strong. No problems with anything moving there. All the rest of the traps, though, we had to take them apart, add 2 more screws offset, and add the star washers and make sure that the screws were nice and tight just to make good, solid electrical connections. Every single one of them needed work. You spend, let's see, the antenna itself costs about $600, and then the 40 meter kit, he had more than $700 in the antenna. You expect if you spend that much money on something that you're going to get a quality piece of construction. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at MFJ or Cushcraft. Obviously they're probably in a hurry to assemble these things. But man, it just seems to me like nobody that gets this beam is going to have a good performing antenna if they're built that way. I can't imagine one going up and not having problems. So if you pick up one of these antennas, you definitely are probably going to want to take those taps apart and inspect them, and maybe add another screw just to give them some more rigidity so they're not going to wiggle around up there and get intermittent. Oh, what's the other thing? The tap. When he had to get the tap, he filled out a trouble ticket on their website, and he didn't hear anything from them for a week. So he contacted them, and the person said, oh, they forgot. They forgot to contact him. They had to make a request with the factory to build a new tap. And then it took an additional 2 weeks before the new tap showed up. Trap. I keep saying tap. Trap. The new trap showed up. So that kind of surprised me, that they had to build one on demand. I would figure, if I sold a product, I'd have at least one complete version of it on the shelf, and maybe a complete set of spare parts on the shelf to sell to customers if they needed them, and I'd replace the spare part in inventory as soon as I sold one. I mean, you want to have one on hand, right? Well, maybe they just happen to be short on them because they're replacing a lot of them because of the way they're built. Who knows? That's all speculation. But yeah, it took a while. It took him 3 weeks to get the replacement trap for this one that was really bad. Anyway, did it solve the problem? Yes, it did. After we put the antenna back up, after rebuilding 12 of the 14 traps, we did the same test. We bounced it around with the antenna rotor, and as you can see from the video, the meters stayed rock steady, rock solid. The antenna's perfect on all the bands right now. It's within the range it's supposed to be in. There's no more bouncing on the SWR. It's rock steady, even when the elements are shaking and wiggling really well. It's exactly what I would say it should have been right from the get-go. So anyway, this could be an antenna that was built on a bad Friday for somebody. It might be a one-off. Who knows? But if you pick up one of these beam antennas, and it might not be limited to Cushcraft, it could be the construction practices of other companies as well. Check it out before you put it up on the tower. Maybe wiggle the traps and make sure that you don't see any intermittency in there. And if you do, you might have to open them up and rebuild them. By the way, opening the traps on this is a little tricky. The nylon insulators that are in there inside the can, they're hard to get out of the can. They've pinged in the can in 3 different spots or 4 different spots to retain them, and in some cases we actually had to drill out the pings to get the insulator past the opening to get them out, and then get them back in there and secured. So it's not easy taking these things apart, and yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about on that Cushcraft beam. The antenna itself, overall looks like a really nice antenna. It seems to work really well. We were tuning around, listening on it the other night, and heard South Africa, station in South Africa, just booming in on 40 meters, S8 to S9, and the antenna is only up about 45 feet. It's a short tower. But he's been tuning around with it and just having a good old time listening, and I've played control operator a couple of times so he could make some contacts with it, and it seems to work really, really well once we resolve the issues that we had with it. So I hope you found that useful, and hey, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.